Taxes and Environmental Concerns
You want me to
meeting
get Ms. Hogan and...
to order.
No, he's not even on this.
I know, but I didn't...
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting? Supervisor McDevitt? Can you do that, Supervisor Lowe? Okay. I don't know if you can because you weren't actually at the meeting.
He's fine. He's just waiting.
Yeah.
What's her name?
I read the minutes.
You could approve the minutes, fine.
There's a phone here, actually, the quorum again.
We need you for the quorum.
You must have went, I don't see it.
She did. She left in the middle of the previous committee meeting.
Okay.
I mean, if he told you, yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Added no, I don't know if you have that.
we have a motion and a second by Supervisor Loeb on the approving the minutes. I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay, thank you. And I want to welcome our new committee members. Our director is Lexi Delori, and she is going to take it from here.
Yeah, I would also like to recognize the new members, Andrea Hogan and Cynthia Hyde, and Mr. Loeb is a returner, actually. So, nice to have you here today. The first action agenda is to approve the chargeback of taxes. They are attached to your agenda, and this is, you'll find, being on the committee throughout the year, we do a lot of chargebacks and refunds. So this is just a standard thing. It's for accounting purposes in the treasurer's office. They have to have a resolution to approve these pilots so that they can accept the money in.
Can I have a motion? Supervisor Simpson? A second, Loeb, thank you. Any discussion or questions? Yes, Supervisor Loeb?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Just to refresh my memory, what are the chargebacks? What does that mean? What are we talking about?
This is so that the county treasurers can accept this money in for a pilot agreement that they have with all of these. So the money comes in through the city of Glens Falls, and in order for the county to take that money in from the pilot agreement, we have to pass a resolution to be able to accept the money into the county treasurer's funds.
So the city is paying it, but we need to properly account for it. That's basically why we're passing this resolution.
Does the money go into our fund, or is it just a pass-through?
I believe it goes to the general fund just like the tax money would.
Thank you.
Anything else? I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Thank you.
If I can,
Yeah.
before we go down to that
That's
last
fine.
item, I just wanted to touch base quickly. I don't really have a lot of information on it, but I do want you to know that DEC did go out to the property in Johnsburg and do quite extensive cleanup there. However, they kind of ran into some issues. The gas tanks did come out of the ground without any problems or without any issues. And then they did go over to the side of the building where in one of the assessments there was some noted petroleum possible contamination, so they did dig, and I think they dug to China. They did do quite extensive removal, and if they could have removed it all, we had gone into an agreement with DEC. If the whole property had been cleaned, we would end up taking title. However, they have found that the contamination is under the building, and the only way that they could clean that up is to have the building taken down. There is some stuff inside that would also have to be removed, which we were going to take responsibility for if we took title. However, at this point, I really don't believe the county wants to get in the chain of title because of the amount of contamination, and we don't know what the cost is. I am waiting for a return call. However, I thought I would have been back to my office by 10. I put a call in again this morning to the DEC attorney down in Albany that we're dealing with, which is Benjamin Conlon. Great guy. He's been there for a long time, very knowledgeable. We did have a meeting with him. Claudia was there. Ben Botello, one of our old assistant attorneys, was there.
And we also had the Johnsburg
Gene
acting
Arsenault
supervisor was there.
Mike Swan was there, myself, one of the guys from the DEC up in Warrensburg, who he was also the one who did a lot of the work on site. He was there every day when they were there doing the work. So I have not received any final report, but I am waiting, like I said, to talk to Ben Conlon to see if there is anything that we can do to move forward to still maybe get something done without having to have the county get into the title, because it could still be really costly. I'm sure on what they removed out of there, they've probably spent well over $250,000. However, we signed that agreement with them, which only held us accountable for $15,000. So we have not received the bill yet from them, but I'm sure it will be coming. But I just wanted to let you all know where that stood, and I'll keep you up to date the best I can. I sent an email back in the beginning of January to everyone, and I've reached out to them by phone, and this was the second time this morning. So I am just waiting to hear back from him. But that's all I have.
Supervisor Loeb?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Along the same line, Lexi, what's the status, if there is a status, of the brick building which is on Bay Road between Sierra Martin and
The Mullins property. I've kind of run into some short staff issues in my office, so I plan on here in the beginning of the year getting the RFP together for us to go in and do some site characterization on there. We want to do some groundwater sampling. We also have a piece up in Chester that we need to do some site characterization on as well. So once I get the RFP together, get it over to Julie Butler, she can review it, and then we can get that out there and hopefully get a contractor hired to do the environmental studies that we need, and then we can go from there. Otherwise, I don't really know until we have that. We did have DEC review the reports that we had on that before, and their recommendation to us was to get groundwater samples done and a study on that. So that's where we're at right now.
What's the term, Mary, you told me it was a 3-word term, so that we can do this without taking on liability?
Yeah, but that's temporary incidents of ownership is what that is that she's
Right.
talking about.
That's what we're using
In order to be able to do that, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Temporary
We didn't
incidents.
take title to Mullins?
No, we
No.
do not own that.
Okay.
No, it's still under Mullins.
Thank you.
The previous property you were talking about,
Johnsburg?
yes, so is that a situation where the piece of property ultimately doesn't get completely cleaned up?
I don't know. That's why I said I was waiting to hear back from Attorney Conlon from DEC in Albany to try to figure out what we can do, or if we can do anything at this point. I'd really hate to see it just left the way it is. They took out lots of contaminated soil out of there, but they brought in clean fill to put in. But the problem of it is the contamination being under the building. They cannot tear down a building. They cannot, DEC, that's not part of what they do, so they can't do that. So, I mean, if we could do that, that would be great, but we can't do that either unless we had title, and at this point, we don't want title to that property. The property is in Ed DeMosier's name. However, just recently I noticed she passed away. So I'm not sure where this is all gonna fall. So again, like I said, I'm waiting to hear from Attorney Conlon at the state and see what he has to say, if there's anything we can do to move forward. Yep.
The only suggestion, you mind?
No.
The only suggestion I would make, that maybe the town of Johnsburg would want to, apply for a brownfield grant to, remove the building. If a lot of the work is already done at the state's expense, they may want to look favorably at because we did it in properties in Warrensburg back when I first went in '06. We cleaned up a couple properties. One was a car wash gas station type. As a lot of money is 10%. At the time, it was 10% that we had to fund from a town standpoint. But, I would I kind of agree with you, Pete. I think I know where you're going, to leave a contaminated building up is not right in this day and age, and certainly after Lexi can find out more information from DC, maybe we can prod them to do the right thing, or somebody to do the right thing.
I don't think any prodding will be necessary.
That's
We're
good.
keeping an eye on it.
Hold out, maybe you can get...
Yeah, great. Anything else? Real property?
That's all I have.
Okay, under environmental concerns, we did have the plastic bag proposal from the last meeting. We passed a resolution saying that we would support a plastic bag ban. And just for the new committee members, if you haven't been paying attention, we did start talking about this last year at this time. We brought in some people from the plastic bag industry, as well as the president of Price Chopper was here, Miss Gulab, I think was her name. Gulab, and we did talk about it at subsequent meetings. We've gone back and forth about whether or not it should be a ban or we should do a fee, which at one point we had also, this committee had thought about proposing. We went to the full board and we tried to pass a resolution supporting the state taking some action, and that was that failed, but it was nearly passed. That was sometime in the spring of last year. And anyway, I just want the committee, especially the new people, to know that it has been tossed around. We've been doing a lot of discussion. The state task force, when I had talked to Steve Aquario at the end of last year, he didn't seem to indicate that anything was coming out of the task force, but it turns out that they did just issue a report a few days ago, and I emailed it to some people. I don't know if everyone has had a chance to look at it. So I think it would be important for us to take a look at that. There's a whole list of options at the end that are probably ways that we can go. I know I've reached out to Commissioner Sagos and Julie Ty, who is the policy director at DEC, to see if they can give us any insight as to which option they think is the best, because in the report they don't advise any one particular option, and there's like 8 options. So I haven't gotten a response back from that, but I'll keep pushing that. And I see that the Chairman Dickinson, requested information from Assemblyman Steck and Senator Little, and I don't think he's received any information back yet. Does anyone have any discussion? Yes, Supervisor Lowe.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. You sent me an email with that information. I read it. Thank you very much. And as I responded, if we're going to move ahead with this, and likely we are, just with the digital radio versus analog, this will evolve, and in the nature of things, we will eventually get to this point. Because, as you know, we use a lot of plastic bags. But it's one thing to ban them, it's another thing to have a solution, because the world has to go on every day. And while Mrs. Golub came in, we have to bring Price Chopper back in and Hannaford back in and actually put them down the table saying, this is going to happen, it's going to impact you, it's going to impact your customers. Let's have a solution on how we're going to do this before we pass it. Otherwise, it's a real burden.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I would agree. I think we could take direction from these people, and rather than come from the top down and say ban, and then you come up with a solution. Let's see what kind of solutions they can offer. I mean, why would we think that people wouldn't want to support doing the right thing if there's options, the right options there, and they're educated, and it's easy to see that you can make a clear choice. I think that should be looked at. I just think most people want to do the right thing if you present them with an easy choice.
Well, that's one thing. It's really, a lot of it is just about convenience and trying to convince people to change their ways. And one of the things that the report did talk about is that voluntary efforts have not been successful.
Well, what I'm saying is, along with the people that are putting the plastic bags out, they could be very instrumental in partnering with us and coming up with a solution from their, the actual source.
Okay, yeah. Supervisor Merlino?
Just a quick comment. And being involved in this in the last 6 months or year, and being a small hotel owner, nobody's taken into consideration, because we have a problem, and I agree with it, but nobody's taken into consideration we probably get 10 times the amount of people coming to Warren County from other states than our population. So we're gonna ban this from our population, and I see it in my little business. People downstate don't recycle like we do. So in the garbage cans in the rooms, we got beer cans, bottle cans, and garbage, and it gets tough to separate that stuff so that we can do it the way we do it here. And these people come with those bags here with food in it and stuff, and they leave them in the room, so it's not always what we're banning from our local people and making it maybe a little inconvenient, but maybe doing the right thing, but the rest of the states around us aren't doing it.
Well, that speaks to why we need to have a solution in place as
That's
in the
what's
store.
important, to
Yeah.
come up with a solution, because we might be banning it from our people, but like I say, 10 times the amount of population comes into Warren County for tourism and pass-throughs than we have here, so, you know.
Supervisor McDevitt?
I think our solution has got to be narrow, it's got to be simple. We can, there aren't many options in terms of, Ms. Gold was in here, Aquarina was in here, all the folks that were involved in this study were in the room sitting just behind me here. This creates initial inconvenience to the way we deal with our lives, okay? So we're just going to reorient our behavior. Is it inconvenient? Absolutely. Will a lot of people not like that inconvenience? Absolutely. Is it the right thing to do? Absolutely. So we just change our habits. And so with the at the end of the day, you leave a grocery store and your groceries don't go into a plastic bag. So we can talk all around with Mrs. Golden, but the solution is, it's not like this is reinventing the atom. You're going to leave with a plastic bag when you exit the store, or you're not, okay? It's going to go into a cloth bag, it's going to go into a paper bag. Kind of end of discussion.
Right.
The only point that I would make is you could come up with a whole host of ways to incentivize the businesses to go along with this, and not come up with a law that just, okay, as of...
So how do we incentivize it?
Well, that's why we need to have discussion. I don't know how we do it, but we do a lot of incentivizing things with businesses to make it work within our county. You're on the LDC, I'm on the IDA. We do all sorts of things. But I think to just, close out, the Price Choppers, the Hannafords, and not have them as part of the equation, maybe they have a solution. Maybe they have something we can do to facilitate this, rather than just crack down $500. We've got to find somebody to enforce this. We've got to, we're going to force an industry to change overnight.
I'd like to hear from some of the newer supervisors. Sorry to cut you off. Supervisor McGowan.
Thank you. Sorry, Matt. Some of the two other stores that I would probably call in with this meeting, because you got your big ones, but, is Aldi's and ShopRite, which you don't have bags. And I have always, Aldi has become one of my favorite stores to go to because of the different products that they have. And I always forget to bring a bag, and of course I'm only going in for two things, and that really never happens when you come out. So what I have done is I have put, some bags in the vehicles. So I have those, so whatever truck I'm in or the car, and I'm swinging by, I say, and ShopRite too, every now and then they have the sales, and once I go in there, you pick up a few other things. I think those other stores, it might be good to bring them in too, to see how their solution. Like I know in Aldi's, when you go through, if you don't have a bag, you can buy bags. But, it's a heavier plastic bag, which, are nicer, but it might be, I don't even know what, they might even be 5 cents or whatever. But it is a heavier bag, it's not the finer bags that the other stores have. Going to paper, that's going to be the other thing that costs, and that's why they've gone to plastic. It's, a paper bag is so much more costly. So that's just going to add, the cost on things. Like I said, if you don't have, but if you get rid of the bags and you go with the paper, then, it will force people like, well, I'll get the can, they will start forcing people to bring in
But as Supervisor Molino said, you know, we do have a lot of people that come in from out of town, and it always amazes me how many people just throw out the cans that they buy, and I always say, I tell them 20 cans are $1, you know? So, that's
Thank
my
you.
input. But the two other stores, I think, would be a good one to bring in how they keep their program.
Okay. Supervisor Wild, then Supervisor Hogan. Real quickly, please.
Really quick?
Yeah.
Join the club, Mike.
Normally I try to be really succinct. You know, you guys know, most of you know I have a bit of a business background. The reason these guys went to plastic to begin with was the economics and how it impacted their bottom line. They're much cheaper than the other alternative. So that's the only thing that drives these businesses. Myself, I have a small business. It's manage your costs, so at the end of the day, you have some money left over for yourself. We can incent these guys. It's not going to happen. We can give them tax dollars. I don't think we really want to do that, but we can set an environment, so to speak, that says it's inappropriate to have these things, and we need to make a change, right? And they're not going to support it. They never will, because it's going to cost them more money. We're humans. We've evolved over millennia. We're going to continue to evolve. I have with these bags. Not a big deal. I think we can do it. Yes, our tourists, you know, maybe it'll take 5 or 6 years for them to catch on. We don't like plastic bags. They're going to figure it out too. So I don't think it's that big a deal. Sorry to take so much. It's really not.
I will be short. I don't know how many of you know this, but I have lived on the ocean, and I have seen firsthand where this plastic ends up, and it's appalling. And I feel that whether our neighbors are doing it or not, it's an imperative that we move in this direction. I agree that we need input from the industry in this, but I caution us against relying too heavily on incentivizing doing the right thing.
Just one last comment.
Quick.
I would argue that we do the Price Choppers and the Aldis, but the Price Choppers and the Hannaford's particularly, we really do them a favor by accelerating the process and getting them on board today with something that is totally inevitable, okay? So we become the beacon. We become the people that set the stage, set the tone, and we become known as Warren County, the county that fundamentally is where people ought to do business, because we do business a little smarter than everybody else.
Thank you. Okay, I know Supervisor Lowe, but we're going to have this discussion at another meeting, so we'll carry that on. Keep your thoughts, keep working in the background, and can I have a motion to adjourn? Yes, Supervisor Simpson, Hogan on the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thanks.
Supervisor on that.
We got a host.